That is such a cool edit. Hey guys, welcome back to this video, and today I'm going to show you how I made this video. So I used DaVinci Resolve to make this video, but before we get into DaVinci Resolve, you need to go get all of the footage you can get that's action edits. So grab all of this footage, drag it into a folder, go into DaVinci Resolve, drag it into your media pool, and then we're ready to get into the edit. So now that we've got everything into DaVinci Resolve, we want to start editing, but we want to edit it based on a soundtrack. So look around, find a soundtrack, and then try and make it short. So I did this short 3-part sound edit, and I'm just gonna align all of the sounds that I've got one sweet short track and you can't hear any transition sound. So try and matching and syncing those beats, and then you typically end up with something that's 10, 15 to the max 20 seconds long. Okay, so now we're just gonna drag all of our clips on top of our music, play around with the clips and try and see which fits where. And what you want to try and do in this case is edit it to the cuts of the beats, and where you have longer sounds you want to have a longer video, and where you have short beats you want to have short cuts. So like down. So you will find that you need to move clips around a bit to find that sweet spot. As you start editing, you'll discover, oh, that clip would look cool in this position. So feel free to move things around, play with it until you find something that works. So next step is going to be color grading all of our clips. So I'm going to start with a single clip, and the style I wanted to use for this is a kind of old retro type of look. So old cameras didn't have a lot of dynamic range or color, so we do this by reducing the saturation. The next thing is, old video cameras seem to have this old yellow tint to it. And then the final part is the quality wasn't so good, so we mimic this by adding some grain. Let me show you how we did this. So going to the color tab, we'll take our first clip, and I'm just gonna add a node here for now. So in our first node, we reduce the saturation, so it gives us this washed out look. And in the second node, all we're gonna do is go to our gain and slightly add a yellow tint to it. Okay, so let's just look at it before and after. The final step was to add the grain, and you'll see what this does. So I'm gonna add a serial node, and in our effects, we're going to go and search for grain. Add the film grain to it. And what I'll do here, just to show you what effect it has, is I'm gonna zoom into this top right corner, and then if we just, let's change this to something a bit more prominent, so 8mm. There we go, now you can see the effect. So if we do a quick before and after, this is basically going to be our color grade throughout this video. Now what you need to do is apply this grade to all of your footage. But there's a very important part, is that if you apply this to everything, since all the shots weren't the same to begin with, you'll find some discrepancies between the color grades. So how we fix this is, after you've applied this, you need to go back to each and every video and make sure it compares with the first video. So how do we compare it to the first video? So how we do this is we go to the first video, and we simply right click on the video and say grab still. And then we can go to the section over here where we can, if we press this and change the different video, you'll see that it's a side-by-side comparison. And every time I color grade something, I bring up that very first clip that's my reference clip and make sure the color grade that I'm doing or applying matches that clip. Okay, so the next step is going to be adding effects to our videos. So there is some effects in DaVinci Resolve, but you most probably want to find some additional effects. So what I've done is I've created a whole library of sound effects for you guys, as well as I'll add you some free light transitions and some grunge effects, and maybe some additional elements if you guys promise to support me by liking this video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to all of this in the description of this video. Let's get into how I added these effects, starting out with light transitions. So this is a library of all of the effects that I've got, and I'm just gonna go through these and find something that fits. Probably, this one will work. And then let's just drag it over the place we want to add our transition, like so. Okay, now we just need to change the blending mode to, let's find add will work. And okay, so now you'll notice something in this case, that the lighting doesn't sell the video. It doesn't make sense that you have this washed out old look and you've got this newly designed lighting effect. Have no fear, we can fix this as well with color grading. In our first node, we'll reduce the saturation slightly and then add a serial node, and then on the gain change it to a yellowish tint, and then you can see it absolutely sells the light transition. So if we play this back, it looks like this. Next up we've got these elements that I want to add, like the X's or the W's or the smiles, the crosses, or whatever the case might be. So these are also layer elements, usually called something in the genre of cartoons. But what I want to do is somewhere in this video over here, let's say over here, I want to add this X. Let's just drag the video down and then move it a little bit. Okay, so we want to put it on this section of the timeline. So again, what we need to do is change the blending mode, add will work, change the opacity a little bit, so it gives you this transparent look. And then if we go to the color grade, we can add this glow to it. So I want to give it a little bit of a blue tint, and then we're going to go into another node, let's add a serial node, and then we're just going to search for glow. I'm going to do effects, glow, come on, glow, there we go. And then if you add this, you can see it gives you this glow effect. We just need to change and play around with the settings a little bit, and we'll end up with something that looks like this. It's really simple as it's just building and building and building until you find something that really looks good. Now you can tend to go too far, don't do that. Play around with it, and that's how you learn, I guess. Okay, next step is we can further improve this video by adding something called film damage. Okay, so this specific effect I'm going to use, I did create it myself, and I'm going to give you the link to this as well. You can go download it and use it for free. So I'm going to drag the section of it over this footage, and then change the blending mode as well. Let's just cut it a little bit. Okay, drag it down. Now we need to, let's see what it looks like. There we go. Okay, let's just change the blending mode. Let's just look for something that works, probably something like hard light. There we go, hard light. Okay, this looks good. I'm going to use this one. Now there is something else we can do that sells this old camera look, and that is by using frames. So the older camera shot in a 4:3 aspect ratio, I guess. So let me show you how to add a frame. So this is one of the frames that I've downloaded from the internet, and you can go look anywhere on the internet. I promise you can find something there. So let's just drag it over the timeline and then change the size a bit, because I don't want it to go from the edge to the edge, and change the blending mode, hard light again. There we go, let's choose this one. And then what we need to do is, you'll see it leaves this edge. We don't want that edge, so we can simply crop this out. So let's crop left, right, top, and bottom. Come on, there we go. Fine tune it a bit. There we go. So if you play this back, it really gives you this very cool effect. Now for the last thing we need to do is add sound effects. When you have a music track, adding sound effects can sometimes break the effect. So what you need to do is you need to add your sound effects, and after every sound effect you add, you need to play it back with music, because some sound effects, they fight against the music track, and it just can sound odd. So make sure whatever you add, just add the essentials. It shouldn't be overwhelming, it should be something that plays in the background, but adding these will make the difference. So I'm going to start off by adding a few tracks, and let me show you what we'll do. So this one is, let's just rename it to sync. So I've got my sync clip, and that's all the sounds of the videos. Then I've got two music tracks. After the music tracks, I'll add another one that I'll call transitions, and then one for downers and risers. Then I'm going to add two tracks for sound effects with the sync, so basically things we see in the video. And I'm going to add two more sound effects tracks just for any additional sounds we might want to add. Now let's start working with the sound effects. And the first thing we're going to work with is the audio of the video clips. So what I ended up doing is only selecting the audio that absolutely goes with the whole action edit, sounds that contributes towards the action edit. So not all of my videos have sound, I kept only some of them. And then there is this very smart trick we can do, which we call L cuts and J cuts. For example, if I have this video over here, so you'll see the audio goes past the following videos and you end up with something like this. And to show you where I combined a J cut and an L cut with audio, I'm going to look at this portion. So we've got, this is where we have that quick cuts, but there's a very specific sound, and that's the car spinning away. So I added some of the sounds before the clip and after the clip. And then you end up with something that sounds like this. Okay, so then we're going to go to adding our transition sounds, and then I'm going to look through the whole video and just find the points of transitions and go to my sound library. By the way, this is all sounds from what I created and given you the link to below. So just to show you what transition sounds I've used, typically something like this. Then I added some downers and risers. And then we're going to add some additional sounds that you kind of expect to hear in the videos but don't. And finally, just a little bit more tweaks like a camera shutter. Now this is a process of building and building, and there's layers and adding effects and removing effects and adding sounds, removing them again, moving footage around. But in the end, you'll end up with something like this. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you could learn something from this video. If there's anything in this video you wanted me to cover that I didn't cover, let me know and I'll create something for you guys to show you what I did. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked it, and we'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.